Fire Force has a reputation amongst anime fans. You either love it or hate it, with some elements being praised, while other parts are being derided for being completely stupid. But are either side correct? No, not really. It's honestly the textbook definition of a mixed bag. Such a shame, since it does have the potential to go beyond what it actually does. What do I mean by this statement? Well, let's proceed, and I'll explain why. First up, we talk about the main characters and the side cast, since the foundation of any story are the characters and how they function and whether they work or not. So let's proceed. For the core main cast, let's start with Shinra, since he's the lead and one of the best characters in the show. How I would describe Shinra is that he's a wholesome man, but also a complete chat as well. For context, when Shinra was a kid, he was very close to his mom and baby brother, Sho. But one night, everything kind of went to shit when his house burned down and he thought his mom and brother died in the fire. The truth is far wilder, but we'll get to that later. It didn't help that everyone thought Shinra burned his house down with his fire powers, since everyone thought he was smiling quite evilly, when in actuality, the muscles in his face contort when he's very stressed. Doesn't matter though, since the next several years of Shinra's life was met with bullying and ridicule, as everyone thought he was a monster. But despite the years of being treated like trash, my man Shinra didn't sway from his drive to become a hero, especially since he wanted to achieve it to honor his family.
Inspiring.
Hence why he joined the Fire Force. However, as he gains more experience and grows closer to Company 8, seen as a family of sorts, he becomes more confident and takes on any challenge that comes his way. While this art isn't new to Shonen, the series does bring a bit of uniqueness to the table. For example, in one of his earlier missions, Shinra is reluctant to kill an Infernal, since it's just sitting in its house not doing much, and not hurting anyone. But they have to put it out of its misery, so they kill it, which does leave a mark on Shinra, and gives humanity and a tragedy to the Infernals. These creatures were human, and while some Infernals do cause damage, some remain docile, waiting to die. To add on to the tragedy, these creatures had friends and families. They had lives, and Shinra sees the depressing side of being a fire soldier, especially trying to give comfort to the loved ones of an Infernal, and making Shinra realize the greater responsibility of the job. And Captain Obi, Shinra's boss, tells them to never grow apathetic to what they have to do, since it will leave anyone dead inside if they treat the ending of an Infernal as nothing less than a tragedy. So Shinra sees that being a hero isn't just fighting and glory. Often, it's quite sour and bitter, but it's a job he and the rest of the company have to do. Speaking of them, let's proceed to the other main characters. First up, the Mad Lad and the GOAT himself, Captain Obi.
He's the GOAT! The GOAT!
He's a respectable lad and a badass who will back up his company. Dude has no powers, but he's able to fight off guys who are far stronger, proving that all you need is discipline and a lot of work to take on any of life's challenges. My man Rocky would be proud. He cares deeply about human life and wants to bring an end to human combustion, while also having a strong sense of morals, like how he doesn't take pride in killing Infernals, and chastises others for turning it into a game of sorts. But this Chad of a man couldn't have done it alone, as he made his team with his second in command, Hinawa. Hinawa is a no-nonsense, by-the-bucks badass of the team who doesn't take shit from anyone. But despite his cold demeanor, Hinawa does care about his teammates, instilling discipline into them and looking out for them and stopping them from doing silly stuff. And it works well, with his stone-cold personality interacting with the more colorful members of the cast, especially Maki.
Fire soldiers don't play with fire.
Right. Got it.
Speaking of Maki, she's a very fun character, though she doesn't have much development, but she makes up for this lack of development due to her being a complete badass. Step on me. Wait, what? Yeah, she's second best girl. Moving on. Datura is the science guy of the team, who is a bit odd.
A proper Fire Force salute should be performed with the right hand, not the left one.
Oh, not really my thing? I'm sorry. So, indulge my curiosity! I simply have to see your soul.
What are you doing?
Oh, show me. Oh, show me. If I cause any trouble, you can kick me out. But at least let me join for now.
But I don't care. I still love him. His eccentric nature makes him likable, but he also has a bit of mystery behind him. It's clear he has his own motives and goals, which he's using Company 8 to help achieve. And I do like we don't know everything about him right off the bat, building some intrigue and roping the audience in, giving little teases about his true character. I do like this bit here with him being amazed and scared by Shinra's light speed, showing the duality of his character, but the real highlight is at this moment.
Wait, but if he keeps on moving at that speed, he could create a mini black hole! And if that were to happen, he wouldn't only destroy the Nether, he would probably end up wiping out the whole Tokyo Empire. He has no idea. Oh, I should warn him. It's the right thing to do, I know. And yet, my curiosity's getting the better of me. I can watch it all happen firsthand.
It shows off his ultimate love and obsession with science and discovery, even if it will screw him and the rest of the world over, which adds more intrigue to his character and makes you wonder what he's willing to do to get what he wants. Next up we have Vulcan, the tech genius who's rough with his inventions. My man only wants the best and unbreakable stuff.
Inspiring.
Being serious for a moment, Vulcan, despite his life not being the best, with him losing his dad and granddad, and literally living in a dump, he's an idealist. He has dreams of restoring the world to what it once was, bringing back all the nature and beauty of it. And no matter what happens to him, he just keeps going and doesn't give up. Not on his dreams, but also on his friends and those close to him. I will talk about his relationship with Lisa in a later section, but I do like most of it. Keyword, most. Iris is the nun of the team who does her little chant after an Infernal gets destroyed by the company. Now you might be saying she would be the most useless member since she has no fire powers. And well, you would be right if another character didn't exist, but we'll get to her in a minute. But yes, she isn't exactly a badass, but she just has some bright spots with her interacting with the other characters. The best material is her history with Habana. For context, both of them grew up in the same orphanage together and were close. But went up the smoke, pun not intended, when the nuns and the other orphans got turned to infernals. Due to that traumatic experience, Habana became cruel and egotistical, with her working with Hajima, think an evil corporation, or simply a corporation. She became in charge of the Fifth, and she fully embraced her sadistic side that even her grunts are taken aback by when she's torturing an infernal.
Your pain's meaningless to me because you're just dung strewn with gravel and I'm a powerful, beautiful princess.
Ugh. But even after not talking for years and seeing what Habana became, Iris didn't want to give up on her, showing off her commitment and loyalty, especially since their last interaction didn't end well. Proof that Iris is a real one.
Inspiring.
But she's also a bit dumb.
Nothing good. Don't press it. What's your deal?
What's this one do?
Get away from there!
Boom.
The elephants!
And you know what? It's pretty damn cute and funny. What? Just because a character isn't smart doesn't mean they are a bad character. It's when they are inconsistent is where the issues lie. Though the show goes too far with it at one moment, which we'll get to later. Now Arthur, the delusional knight of the team. Yeah, I'm not kidding. The dude is a nut job, and I love him. He works well as a comedic relief due to the fact, well, he thinks he's a knight and everyone's baffled by it. He also works as a badass swordsman because look at him. Look at this man go. This dude's kicking ass like there's no tomorrow. A funny thing that blends these two elements together is that the stronger Arthur's belief in being a knight is, the more powerful he gets. Best shown when he's fighting these guys right here, and look at this! Wait, hold on a minute. Why don't they allow Arthur to wear a knight-themed outfit? It would be a big boost to his powers and would make him far stronger in combat. Don't tell him because it's a uniform requirement for all the companies. Characters like Habana, Company 5's Angels, the Company 7 guys, Company 1, and Tamaki can wear non-uniform outfits in combat. And bear in mind, most of the examples are just for aesthetics and less for usefulness in battle, compared to Arthur, who gets stronger the more delusional he gets. And don't tell him because only Company 8 has these requirements, since Tamaki's allowed to wear her own custom outfit. So yeah, kind of a dumbass move here. Though Arthur is far from the worst character in Company 8, that honor goes to the aforementioned Tamaki. And oh my god, what a horror character she is! Tamaki is the worst character in the whole season. She's a bumbling dumbass who is mostly useless in season 1 and only exists here for plot. Yeah, I'll get to her power in a later section alongside how the show handles fan service. But don't worry, Tamaki provides enough material on her other aspects alone. Throughout season 1, she just stumbles around, not doing much and having to be saved by her teammates, acting incredibly whiny and annoying for no good reason, and continues to be a pain in the ass for everyone. Tamaki, you know Shimmer doesn't mean to grope you. You know your powers can turn on at any moment, regardless of whoever's nearby. Yeah, it's understandable feeling a bit embarrassed each time, but after a while, you know most of the time when people accidentally grope you, it's not by their choice, and they don't take enjoyment from it. Yeah, I get it the first time she met Shinra, and when he did his smile when he groped her, Tamaki had a fair reason to assume he was enjoying this mishap, but even after getting to know him and having Shinra save her life, Tamaki still treats Shinra like he's a pervert when she knows he doesn't want to elude her and gets very embarrassed by it. And she doesn't have a great dynamic with the rest of the cast. The best Tamaki has is her friendship with Iris, which has a funny bit with both of them being the shit out of this chump, but that only happened because Tamaki had to be saved by Iris. When you're so useless, the person without powers has to save you. What a great character you are. But she gets better in later parts of the series, so this is a part for character development. Well, that's good. One problem, we're still in season 1, and I'm reviewing her character up to this point. If the development for her is good in the later seasons, then I'll give credit. However, we can still critique how her character was set up and point out how the writer might have gone too far in some places. Overall, Tamaki was a bad addition to the cast. She just had to be kicked out of her company and be forced into a solid group of characters. Wait, why was she forced to leave Company 1?
Sorry, Tamaki. But even though Rekka lied to you, you need to be prepared.
I know. I lured these children into danger. I'll accept any punishment I receive.
Okay, first of all, Tamaki didn't know Rekka was a bad guy. She was manipulated by him since he was a mentor to her, and Tamaki had feelings for him, which he took full advantage of to use her. Second of all, she did try to stop him. Yeah, it wasn't a great attempt, but you could attribute her poor performance to the high stress of the situation and find out her crush was insane in using her. She did the best she could in the situation. And if you're going to say they kicked her out for being useless, then why did they keep her in for so long?
It is of no concern.
It's not like she can refuse a transfer. She's an underling with no power or connections to keep her in Company 1. Yes, she was friends with Rekka, but I doubt he could overturn the power of the other company advisors and Captain Burns. What I would have done is have Tamaki be at Company 8 at the start of the series, with teases about why she was fired from the first, the reason being her incompetence. Then she's assigned to the mission to spy on Company 1 alongside Shinra and Arthur due to her history with her previous company. Then she reconnects with Rekka and the same beats play out. The story plays out the same, but at least Company 1 is portrayed as being competent. But yeah, Tamaki sucks. The sidecasts though are considerably much better, which isn't saying much, but hear me out. The sidecast functions fine. They provide some levity and help expand on the world, which we'll get to in a later section. There are 3 highlights of the secondary cast that stand out, which we shall go through. First up, Benimaru, aka the GOAT.
It's the GOAT! The GOAT!
My man just oozes badassery. With a mastery of coolness and a don't give a damn attitude, dude sweets everyone. Though putting aside the hype and focusing on his character, Benny's actually fairly developed, acting as a mentor for Shinra and Arthur for a bit of the series, and has an arc for what little screen time he has in Season 1. For context, Benimaru is the boss of Company 7, a special group of the Fire Force. They are based in Asakusa, a nationalist hub which embraces traditional Japanese culture and rejects the Church of the Tokyo Empire. The only reason why they are in the Empire is because of a devil inferno that showed up years back and wrecked everything, and they were off to be in the Empire so they would get support but maintain autonomy over themselves. But Benny still prefers to work away from the other companies, since he sees them as being pawns of the church and wants to be more self-reliant. So Benny starts off as someone who is not keen to get help from anyone else, but also doubting himself if he can lead the people of Asakusa, because he doesn't see himself as a proper leader, thinking his predecessor and best friend, Kongoro, was more fit for the job before he was injured. But after working with the Fire Force and stopping the Evangelist from wrecking his city, Benny turns himself into a proper leader by using his rougher traits and tells everyone in Asakusa to fight each other so the baddies couldn't pretend to be them. Okay, trust me, it makes more sense in context. And at the end of the arc, he does grow a liking to Company 8 and trusts them, giving them his full respect. He also has a fun sidecast as well. Karo acts as a foil to Benimaru, being more level-headed and polite to balance out Benny's rudeness, with him homaging his friend's behavior. But he still supports his friend and believes in him, even when Benny himself doesn't. On the flip side, we have Higake and Hinata, who have all Benny's rudeness dialed to 10, but without what little manners Benny has, not to be completely blunt. And also kind of assholes.
The old bat made daifuku. If you want some, then help yourselves.
That crumbling old fossil makes the best daifuku ever. If that senile crone forgets the recipe, she may as well just die.
Hinata, Hikage, you need to listen here.
Whoa there, Waka. We're not taking any complaints right now.
But just like Conro, they do support him. Though what sets them apart from Conro is that they come from more idolization of Benimaru. This is Conro's gentler approach, while Benny is stuck in the middle between these dynamics. While he does act very rude, deep down, he does value the people in his life. So yeah, when are we getting the Benny and his amazing friends spinoff? Another highlight of the sidecast is Hibana, who is the best girl in the series. Hibana starts off as an antagonistic force towards Company 8, being there driven by her own agenda and her sadistic nature.
You pathetic lump of 8th Company gravel. Don't you know that your place is on the ground beneath my feet? The only sound I care to hear from you is the crunch, crunch, crunch of my heels being pressed into your back.
Step on me. Wait, what? She has a thought process thinking she's better than everyone else, has a very sadistic nature to her, and has a dominating presence in every scene she's in. But there are hints that the pain from her past trauma does make her actions less out of pleasure and more of a coping mechanism. I mean, she still has the I'm superior than you personality even after becoming a good guy, but it's less of an unhealthy coping mechanism and more of a pride thing. But her demeanor and dynamic with the other characters is flipped when Shinra gives her a punch of gender equality. Then she starts to simp for him. Okay, that's a bit of an oversimplification, seeing that there is good character work with her and Shinra, with her lad reaching out to her to try and get her out of the darkness she has lost herself in over the years, which she does by giving her some tough love. This aspect also mixes well with her relationship with Iris, tying up their storyline and repairing their friendship. Still hilarious, Shinra literally knocked some sense to her. But with her now being a good guy, she does help out Company 8 with their investigations, sharing her research and being of service to them in whatever way she can. But she still retains her superiority complex to most of the cast. So we still have some great humor with her, and oh my god, she's so cute! I love her so much. So damn hot. Sorry about that. Pressing on. Finally, we get the best character in Season 1, Joker. No, not that Joker. Joker's a reoccurring antagonistic force throughout Season 1, a man shrouded by mystery, which helps add an alluring aspect to his character, since he knows things the characters don't, making the audience wonder who is this guy and what his goals are. Since while he isn't on the bad guy's side, as he does fight the Evangelist, it's clear by his actions and personality that he's not a good guy either, which makes him an unpredictable character since you don't know what he'll do next. For example, during his first interaction with Shinra, Joker tries to bait him into joining his side to gain critical info about what happened the night when he lost his brother and mother. But when Shinra refuses, he almost gets Shinra, Arthur, and Tamaki killed by creating a big bomb in the building they are in. So yeah, he's not exactly a good guy either. But what else helps his character is his badassery. Able to handle several main characters at once, and even hold off one of the most powerful characters in the show, showing he's a powerhouse and just a legend all around. Overall, the sidecast is well done, even surpassing some of the main characters in terms of complexity and being compelling. Though I can't say the same thing about the villains, who are, a bit of a mixed bag. The Evangelists, or the White-Clad, are the main baddies of the series, who are religious cultists.
Oh no, it's the Catholic Church.
Okay, got that joke out of the way. Now let's resume the review. The group's plan is to bring out the end of humanity by grabbing all the adulterlings, basically people with special fire powers, and using them to bring about the end of the world, the Second Cataclysm. But their evil isn't just trying to nuke the world, they also try to turn people into infernos through their bugs like this. So by the description I've given the group and their goals, you might be thinking, alright, this sounds kinda cool. They have the potential to be a great villain group. A group of religious nutjobs, but also menacing how they act, with a sadistic nature to them, sounds like a recipe for peak. Well, they are sadly a mixed bag. Some of the big dogs have actual substance and great interactions with our heroes, and then the other members are complete idiots. After Mr. Hydrate is caught, he has to take out quicker than Epstein to prevent him from running out on his teammates. Which, fair enough. However, at no point did Arrow or Endeavor help out Rekka. Imagine when Shinra got there and was about to kick ass, then boom, he gets sniped. It might have changed the series' ending, wouldn't you say? Well, they might have shown up after the fight was over. Well, it's never shown. They shoot Rekka and fuck off after being scared away. Nothing was said about how long they were there for. And two, even if that was true, it's a major contrivance since if they weren't there, Rekka would have been caught and he might have slipped some more details about the Evangelists to the good guys. That might mess up their plans, is what I'm saying. Well, Shinra has an Adora link, so they don't want to kill him. They don't know he has a link, so from their POV, they would have stopped some asshole from interrupting their operation. And even if they did know, they could have still attacked him, The mission is to capture dull users, not necessarily bring them in uninjured. Moving on to the next arc, most of the gang head over to Asakusa to get some info about the White Clad, but the baddies decide to wreak some havoc in the town by having some imposters run around and cause confusion amongst the people there, so they can distract the heroes while they destroy the evidence they are looking for. And okay, this isn't a bad plan, but then Clayface over here decides to walk around in an area filled with people who hate the church in his religious garb. I'm sorry, what? Remember, this guy's power is just to mold people's faces. While it does seem to have some deadly capabilities, the dude is clearly not meant for combat, so he would get pummeled by the local residents there. Well, they were all distracted, so they wouldn't have noticed him. Okay, even if no one noticed him at first, there would be a big chance someone would eventually, potentially risking him getting his ass kicked. Regardless, it's still a dumb idea to walk around town with a good chance of Company 8 seeing him, especially since they are looking for info about the White Clad. And the Evangelist would suspect the 8th would know what they looked like, based on the fact Company 8 came searching around here because of evidence from years back with a falling White Clad, or the fact that they are wearing their uniforms out in public. If this guy was caught, Company 8 would have interrogated him and gotten a better understanding of the White Clad and figured out their plans sooner. Or here's a thought, Clayface knew Giovanni and Lisa. If Company 8 got the info about Lisa being a spy or Giovanni's plans for Vulcan, they could have warned Vulcan and stopped Giovanni from attaining the Kita Marasu and captured him, dealing a massive blow to the bad guys. So yeah, good job, dipshit. Skipping ahead to the Netherworld arc, instead of all them rushing Maki together, aka the smart thing to do, they decided to take turns like this is an RPG or something. I understand what they're going for, Maki being a badass and showing off her masterful skills. But imagine if all the baddies try to rush her, but Maki using her combat train, maneuvers around the grunts, and still takes them all out. It would be incredibly badass to see this animated, and have Maki be best girl unopposed. Moving on, this scene kind of broke me in a way that I haven't recovered from yet. So Iris and Tamaki got separated from the main group, but that isn't the least of their problems as an imposter is among them. A second Tamaki, and it's not a very convincing one. So the white clad guy can't transform himself into Tamaki, but he still sounds like a guy and doesn't have Tamaki's powers. However, Iris can't tell who is the real Tamaki. I can't, what? How can you be this stupid, Iris? It's comically clear who is the real Tamaki. It's impossible not to quickly figure it out. But Iris establishes being not smart. Okay, there's a little difference between not being very smart and being an absolute dipshit. Iris may act silly at times, but one would think she would be able to tell the difference between a guy's voice and a girl's voice. And the fact that the real Tamaki can use her powers while the fake can't. Who wrote this? There has to be a good reason for this beyond brain dead character moment. Let's see how the scene plays out and see what happens.
Tamaki?
It was for a fan service joke. Look, have another vote! Okay. I'm calm. Next up, we have the big guy over here, who is built up to be this imposing OP baddie. He's fighting Iris and Tamaki, the weakest members of Company 8. Now you might be thinking, wow, this could be a very tense scene, as the weaknesses of the squad are on their own against this beast. Maybe you can have Tamaki be useful and find a way to beat this guy and protect her powerless teammate, which can give her some great character development for her and make the audience fear our heroes will die. How does this scene play out? The big guy fondles Tamaki, gets lost in the horny, then Iris bonks him in the head, and then he gets beaten senselessly by the two ladies? I didn't think it needed to be said. Hard to fear your bad guy team when one of their strongest members get their ass kicked by the two weakest members because he got a boner. Actually, wait a fucking minute. Why would they waste the big guy on Iris and Tamaki? Why not use them against a tougher foe like Shinra or Maki, and send the other guys to kill Tamaki and Iris? They are utterly fucked since Iris has no powers and Tamaki is useless. They would be dead. And actually, considering how dumb the stormtroopers were fighting Maki, maybe Iris and Tamaki might have kicked their asses pretty easily. So yeah, not exactly the most intimidating group of baddies. But it's not like the group has no potential, since they do have good members. There are only 3 members of the Evangelist that are actually well written. Those 3 being Dr. Giovanni, Sho, and lastly, Rekka. Let's start with my man, Giovanni first. For context about him, Giovanni is the head of Company 3, but is actually on the side of the Evangelist. And he is so fucking scary. Everything about this guy, from his look, how he operates, and how he interacts with the others, it just sells him as an S-tier villain. When you first meet him, he has an odd presence. His voice, his appearance, and how he interacts with the others makes him stand out, but also giving the audience a hint he's going to play an important role, which he does in the Vulcan arc. In the arc, we learn he has history with Vulcan in his family. He even tries to recruit Vulcan so he can learn some important information that his family kept secret, but Vulcan refuses to join him, even after Giovanni tried to extort him by blocking him from buying tech. Now this detail gives more reasons for the audience to feel uneasy, since we see his willingness to get what he wants, no matter how much he has to make people suffer, and teases what else he's willing to do, which becomes clearer after Shinra learns his plan to kill Vulcan. And we see his less human side when he attacks Vulcan. Notice how he repeatedly beats him with a stick, moving his arm mechanically up and down. Seems like an attack from a robot than a human being. It makes you question what he's really up with him. And he's also a master manipulator, as he basically groomed Lisa, who we'll get to later, from a young age to follow his will. How he brainwashed Lisa, manipulated her, and abused her to his own will adds an even deeper sadistic level to his character. Just like the other elements of Giovanni, we're only given small teases, but they do a wonderful job of making Giovanni a frightening villain. And it's really disappointing when you realize he's too good to be in this series. My man needs to be in a Go-To series ASAP. But there are some other great villains in the series. Next, we move on to Rekka. Despite his limited screen time, the character does leave a lasting impact. When we first meet him, he seems like a nice guy, high energy, supportive, and friendly. He even gives Tamaki some respect. The man really had the patience of a saint to deal with her for who knows how long. He's also a good friend to Karim, acting like a foil to him, countering his negative and repetitive sentences with a positive and straight-to-the-point attitude. But then, we learn he's a member of the Evangelist, and has been turning people into infernals, with a very strong implication he was the one who turned Iris's and Hibana's orphanage into infernals. Which, yeah, pretty messed up. This twist is pulled off well since we had the build-up of the relationships he has, so when we see Rekka's true nature, we are heartbroken to see the extremely positive, upbeat guy turn out to be a sadistic bad guy. And the best thing about his reveal is that he still acts like the same person who has been established, so it's a bit messed up when he applies his high energy and positivity when he experiments on the kids and assaults Tamaki. It twists these very positive traits and flips them upside down, like how he loses a Tamaki here because he's trying to stop Rekka from hurting the kids, but also praising the kids as well. The contrast between these two elements between his character, but twisted it to something far darker. Shame he got killed off early, but he was a menacing force while he lasted. Now for the last villain, and basically the final boss of the season, Sho. To sum up his backstory, Sho is Shinra's younger brother, who was kidnapped by the Evangelist when he was a baby due to his Adola link, being brainwashed by the cult into being one of their head bosses and one of their strongest fighters. Not just with his sword skills, but his ability to stop time, practically making him untouchable. Sho easily demolishes Shinra, illustrating him as a physical threat to be feared, but also, like Giovanni, he has substance to his character and helps him carry the season hard. With this dynamic with Shinra, you have a unique relationship. As long as Sho could remember, the Evangelist brainwashed him into thinking he's some sort of holy being, building up his connection with their god. Sho saw himself as better than everyone else. But in comes Shinra to challenge this idea. From the first interaction between the two brothers, Shinra treated him like a normal brother would do, with warmth and friendliness. He was happy Sho was alive and wanted to catch up with him, so eager and full of hope. But Sho responds with coldness, as he's fully enveloped by the lies of the Evangelist. He is disgusted by the idea of being related to Shinra, a mortal. However, even after being given coldness and some beatdowns, Shinra refuses to give up on his brother, still trying to offer a hand in friendship to him and not hurt him. However, when Sho insults their mom, Shinra actually gets offended and realizes just kind words won't change Sho's mind. He needs to give Sho some tough love and give him a proper battle. He starts going beyond his limits as he goes faster and faster past the speed of light. But also, Shinra begins to link up with Sho, sharing his memories with his little brother, who does not believe Shinra is his family. But it changes when Sho fully links up with Shinra and remembers his old life. Throughout the series, we see many flashbacks with younger Shinra, baby Sho, and their mom, the warmth and love in this family, and the many fond memories Shinra has of them. And now, Sho is experiencing those memories as well. How Shinra always made him feel safe, how Shinra made him happy, and how Shinra would protect him no matter what. As he starts to cry and his voice cracks as he sees what he used to be and feels the same love Shinra feels towards him and sees him as his family. And for the first time in a long time, he feels warmth and love. and he finally accepts Shinra as his brother. However, when Shinra leaves his light-speed state, he was impaled on Sho's sword, since he didn't see where he was going. But regardless of his grave injury, Shinra comforts Sho, not blaming him for what happened. But this brief moment of warmth and love is cut short by several Evangelist members who plan to take Shinra and Sho with them. But when Sho steps up for his injured brother and tries to defend him, he's then brainwashed by the bad guys, while Shinra is forced to watch. Thankfully, the rest of the company comes in and protects Shinra, but the Evangelists make their escape with Sho. You feel the heartbreak here, as Shinra can only watch as his little brother loses his individuality and is taken away by the Evangelists once more. And now Sho has returned to what he was, but far worse. Now he's truly a slave of the Evangelists. And I'm excited to see what they do with this in the next season. Overall, the Evangelist is a mess of a villain team, with a few high-quality bad guys, but also a lot of dipshits. And it's not like it would be hard to fix them, just a few lines of dialogue about why they didn't make their best moves when they could have, and not have them do brain-dead moves that would have gotten them fucked over if it wasn't their incredible luck that saved them. Little quick fixes could have made this team far better and a proper force for our heroes to fight. But at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of dumbasses carried by characters who frankly deserve to be in a much better series. But hey, at least the other aspects of the season work, and the plot and world building aren't a mess, which leads to... The plot, for the most part, is actually quite stable. The plot does operate under cause and effect, with very few contrivances and contradictions, and the cast acts in character. Though it's not perfect, as I have shown before, and we'll get to some more examples in a moment. The world building is also quite good as well. We see the history of the world, the Great Cataclysm, the rise of the Holy Soul Temple, and the Tokyo Empire. But we also see the tension in the present, teases of clashing ideals in the Fire Force companies, with how each team operates differently, how Company 1 is involved with the Church, Company 5 is involved with Hijima, and Company 7 are more interested in their own well-being, though they are helpful to our heroes later. And we see why the main cast, Company 8, are the only team who can do much to fight off the Evangelists, since the other teams are either in a powerful institution with their own goals in mind, don't have the resources to do anything, or are the bad guys. It's a world where, at worst, it's still stable and doesn't fall apart, even if you think very hard about the writing. It says something when Fire Force has stronger writing than the MCU right now. Though the plot writing is not perfect, but it's limited to 3 arcs. It's just really bad in just the second example. First, when Joker blew up the building after his fight with Shinra, the fact no one else got killed or injured is kind of bullshit since no one else knew Joker was about to blow up the building. And Shinra and the gang couldn't have told anyone since they were busy escaping, which matters because one of the characters, Juggernaut, plays a minor but crucial role later in the season with Shinra and Arthur investigating Company 1 for Sussy Baka. So it might have been a bit of an issue if he was dead. Second of all, the arc where Shinra, Arthur, and Iris go to recruit Vulcan to the company. The trio go there and try to convince Vulcan to join their team, but Vulcan refuses since his dad and granddad didn't have the best relationship with the Fire Force, which fair enough. So after we get some character development with Vulcan and his sword family, his not so good relationship with Giovanni, and showing again his dream to return the world to what it once was before the Great Cataclysm, he sends them on their way. Even after he gets to know them and sees they are good people, he just can't help them. But thanks to his force powers, Shinra learns that Giovanni is going to kill Vulcan. Okay, a bit convenient, but this power was established in the last arc, so I'm willing to let this slide. However, after Shinra splits from the gang to go get backup, he's caught by Giovanni, and he's about to be sent to a white-clad base, but then Hibana pops in to save him. Now you might be wondering, huh? How the fuck did she know she needed to be here? Well, she put a tracker on Iris, which, okay, I could see this action being in character for Hibana, but it wasn't set up at all. And also, how the hell did she even put the tracker on Iris? Iris is wearing normal clothes, so Hibana would need to go to her dresser and be extremely lucky that Iris chose that exact pair of clothes with the tracker on them. Unless Hibana put the tracker on Iris while they showered together, which is something I don't want to dive into.
Oh my.
Regardless, Hibana got extremely lucky she found Shinra since he was far from Iris. But wait, when Giovanni gets into Vulcan's house, he's looking for the drive to Amaterasu, the power source of the Empire, and for his evil plan. After beating Vulcan senselessly, he just happens to find the memory stick he was looking for, but he found it in a random piece of equipment in Vulcan's lab. If Vulcan's dad and granddad wanted to hide this drive, why would they put it in a device Vulcan shows to everyone? What happens if it gets broken somehow, or Vulcan disassembles it and finds it, or if someone steals it? Why not just bury the device or hide it somewhere else if they didn't want anyone to find it? And if you're going to say they wanted Vulcan to find it, then why the fuck didn't they tell him about it earlier or leave a message for him?
It is of no concern.
If they knew the danger of the device in the wrong hands, then sure they would have told Vulcan about this information. And yeah, if they did tell Vulcan, then he would have given it to Giovanni to save his sidekick. But they didn't know Vulcan would have a sword family, and that his not girlfriend would betray him, so they have no reason not to tell him. But wait, I'm not done. Then after Sherman gets his ass kicked by Sho, Victor pulls up in a truck and saves everyone, which great timing on his part that he got here just at the last minute. Any later, the gang would have been dead. Also, where did he get the truck from? And how did he sneak past the bad guys? Since it would be very hard to get to the heroes with the villains close by. And if you're going to say Victor took the truck from Vulcan's junkyard, then why is it still assembled? Wouldn't Vulcan tear it apart for spare parts for his inventions? Since it's established he can't get them because Giovanni blacklisted him from the people he buys his stuff from. And then Joker comes in and saves the gang from Sho kicking their asses. Which, okay, I could see Joker tagging along with Victor since they are allies, but if he and Victor were stalking Shinra and the gang from the start, that means Joker just watched as Arthur got his ass kicked, and Giovanni just walked in and stole the device. Hence why the best option is that they just arrived in time, otherwise the other possibilities show Victor and Joker being complete idiots and utterly destroying their characters. Wow, what a disaster that arc was. But hey, the rest of the show isn't as bad as this arc. There's only one other time after this where there's a huge contrivance. In the Netherworld arc, Arthur just happened to be nearby to save Hinawa. The story might have changed a little bit if Hinawa got killed by these chumps. But hey, if these three things are the only broken parts about the season, I'll take it. But I'm not done with the journey of losing my sanity. I still have to talk about the most infamous aspect of the show, and it's most frustrating. Tamaki is completely and utterly worthless. Her only purpose is just to be, oh no, I'm being looted, ooh, fan service lady. I'm not even joking when I say there's more scenes of her being looted than actual character development.
Kusakabe! Don't look at me!
Now you might be saying, what? Why is Tamaki so prone to fan service? Well, she has an ability that gets her into loose situations, with her not having any power to control it. No, we aren't in a softcore hentai, it's an actual ability in a mainstream series. Why does she have this power? Well, the writer wanted to have a cat girl to be looted as much as possible, even if it flips the tone of the scene and dries out all the tension. Really a fantastic writing if I do say so myself. Though to be fair, Tamaki isn't the only one who gets unnecessarily fan service at bad times. She just gets more of it. And before you guys call me a Puritan or an average Twitter user, let's make it clear. I don't mind fan service. In fact, I kinda like when it's done well. Hell, the fan service in Fire Force can actually be good and can actually add some character. But the best example? Hibana. Oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Where was I? So Hibana is the captain of the 5th, and she has a very proud and superior demeanor about herself, seeing most people beneath her as gravel. But she's also a force to be reckoned with, as she can absolutely dominate her opponents. She revels in her beauty and owns it, which makes her fan service far superior, at least in my opinion. Since I find it to be more attractive to own your hotness and be confident in yourself, rather than be, oh no, my clothes fell off again and I landed on main character's face, ooh. And Hibana contrasts well with her best friend Iris, a nun who's far more modest and conservative, which creates a fun dynamic between the two, seeing them interact in humorous ways. Plus with the character of Maki, whose fanservice is mostly based around how buff she is, and pretty cute. But she isn't a pushover either, and is one of the best fighters in Company 8 due to her combat and second generation firepower. And you know why the fanservice for these characters are considerably better than Tamaki's? It's because these three are actually characters with developed personalities and plenty of likable traits. So when they are given the fanservice treatment, the audience could actually enjoy it because we actually like the characters enough to get some cheesecake. Plus, their fanservice is done considerably better. For example, the shower scenes. Well, they are far from subtle. They are rare, and unlike Tamaki, they don't take tension out of the scene. The scenes do provide some decent comedic and character stuff. What I'm trying to say is that Fire Force would have a much better reputation when it came to fan service if Tamaki didn't exist. Aside from her, the fan service isn't that bad. Yes, the fan service is bolder than plenty of other shonen, and there are plenty of peak female character designs. It's not too distracting. It doesn't happen too often, and when it does happen, it doesn't break the tension of the scenes they are in. And also, well, the ladies aren't too bad to look at themselves. Sorry about that. That won't happen again. Back to the point, we could have had actually a fair balance of fanservice, which wouldn't have been too distracting and would have been fairly respectable. But no, this dumbass just had to spoil it, and she has nothing to show for it aside from, oh no, I'm being lured again. Ooh. But thankfully, unlike Tamaki, the other main characters have actual substance to them, but like the rest of the show, kind of wasted. Vulcan and Lisa's relationship and how it plays out kind of sums up the show. A really cool idea, but wasted big time. Let me explain. To sum up their backstory together, one rainy night, Vulcan finds Lisa hiding in his junkyard, so he decides to take her in. Then with a little kid, they form a family of sorts. Lisa basically being his girlfriend. I mean, it's not stated in the series, but come on, they are basically a couple. She indicated the only people Vulcan trusts since his dad and granddad passed away by totally not getting killed by Giovanni. No way. But it turns out Dr. Giovanni planted Lisa in Vulcan's place so she could gain his trust and allow the good doctor to steal an important item from Vulcan. But Lisa is conflicted about the whole thing, which is fair, since she did form a bond with Vulcan. However, when Vulcan gave her the chance to escape with him, even after she betrayed him and gave Dr. Giovanni what he wanted, Lisa sticks with the doctor out of loyalty and the many years of brainwashing from him. But Vulcan isn't sweet to give up. He joins Committee 8 since Shimmer and the gang saved his life, and he wants a chance to save his not-girlfriend. Despite the betrayal Lisa inflicted on him, he still cares for her deeply, and all the time he spent together with her was real. Vulcan is even willing to work with someone from Hijima, which he doesn't have the best relationship with due to some sus stuff between them and his family, but hammers home Vulcan will do anything he can to save Lisa. Now you might be saying, okay, this could be a really cool dynamic. We have two characters who love each other but are forced to be on different sides. But while one has accepted the situation despite their reservations, the other still hangs on to what both of them used to have and refuses to give up. This dynamic could work very well. Stretched over several arcs, it would be a great storyline. The conflict between the characters, the interactions, the development, showing the deep connection they have, and when the big payout happens, after so much development, it can hit home and they close the storyline in the next arc.
Disappointed!
Come on, Fire Force. You had a really cool story idea, and you wasted it as quickly as you set it up. Okay, to be fair, there are good things in this scene when it comes to the storyline. I love the moments between Lisa and Giovanni.
What's the matter, Feeler? Are you forgetting who it was that gave you a home? Who accepted a filthy, ignorant cat like you and taught you everything you know? Who showed you how to manipulate fire, how to manipulate men?
It adds more darkness to Giovanni, as it makes you wonder what he did to Lisa for all those years to turn her into his servant, which is a contrast to Lisa's time with Vulcan, who was incredibly warm and kind to her. I love Vulcan's interaction with Lisa the first time seeing her as a white-clad.
You look like a fool in it, Vulcan. You know that, right?
And you look great in whatever you wear.
Smooth as fuck. Anyway, it's a great interaction, showing Vulcan still likes Lisa. And this aspect is reinforced as Vulcan still tries to reach out to Lisa, even when she's wiping the floor with Himanobi. And I do love when Vulcan catches her, and we see the flashback with her and Vulcan, showing Lisa cannot fight Vulcan anymore since what he is to her and the bond they forged. And Vulcan gave her a smile, showing he still has the same warmness to her as the first time they met. But to have the moment this early is a bad idea. This payoff should have been done in the next season when they could have more time to develop Lisa and Vulcan's relationship and have them be apart for much longer. So when they do get back together, it has more weight behind it because we had more time to develop and properly explore these characters. But this execution is so rushed. You don't just blow your big payoff as quickly as you set it up. You lose all the emotional weight you could have had if you just waited a bit. Don't get me wrong. Both Vulcan and Lisa are in character with the choices they made throughout the series and up to this point. And we see she hasn't broken free of Dr. Giovanni's hold over her, with plenty of interesting ways it could guide her character for the rest of the series. But these story beats should have come in the next season so we can get maximum emotional payoff with the storyline. In a nutshell, just like most of the series, it's not bad, but it could have been way better. But there is one big positive I will give the show, and it really carries the series as a whole. Now you might be thinking, for a show slightly above average, the fights are probably not the greatest in the world, right?
Wrong!
Who are you calling? Gorilla Cyclops!
Oh, it's so good. It's fluent and well-paced, with it being incredibly well choreographed. And since most of heroes are, at the very least, competently written, you actually can get invested in what's going on and be taken back by the amount of effort they put into the battles. And unlike a certain other hero, they don't act like out-of-character dumbasses, so the plot can happen. Now yes, there are some fight scenes where there are some contrivances, like the aforementioned grunts taking turns to attack Tamaki, but overall, the fight scenes are done incredibly well in Fire Force. If I have to pick a favorite, I think Benimaru's The Devil Inferno is a treat. Seeing Benny absolutely demolish the Inferno using his intense power and mastery of hand-to-hand combat was a spectacular display. Plus it's a big payoff to Benimaru's character development in that arc, since he has shown off to be a true badass and can lead the people of Asakusa. The only problem is the Inferno only reacted when Benny's about to kill him, and not throughout the entire sequence when Benny's sending him through the sky. And yes, you could argue Benny's earlier attack knocked the wind out of the beast, but I doubt it could do that for that long, which was a good minute. But I would say it's overall a great fight scene, just like a lot of other fights in the show. So thank you, Fire Force. You may have issues, but at least you got the fight scenes down, and you know what? I can respect that. Fire Force is a fine show. But man, oh man, does it have its faults. If you love shonen anime, or just want to watch it for its great action scenes, you'll get it and you'll enjoy it. There are elements within the series that teases its true potential if it applied itself. It has consistent characters, an interesting premise, it has well-made choreographed action scenes to back it up, and has so much more to make it a top-tier show. But there's certainly a lot of kinks in the writing that holds it back. And no, that isn't a pun on the incredible horny nature of the show, you perverts. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm no better. By the end of the day, not the worst show I've seen, but there are far better options out there. Final score? 7 out of 10. So yeah, here's hoping season 2 is better.